organization leading advocacy and law reform, concentrating in family law and any discriminatory policies, particularly in areas of human rights issues impacting gender justice, both in Malaysia and in the international arena. Then she rejoined JLT in 2016 and she was tasked to manage the Medifund scheme, which is endorsed by the MMA and the MDA. In addition to managing the placement of the scheme, Ratna also conducts talks such as this in hospitals as well and clinics relating to indemnity coverage for doctors and dentists and for Medifund risk management training series for the medical profession. So she has been continuing to manage this scheme after the JLT and Marsh integration in 2020 as part of the Marsh specialty team. So a little fun fact also about Ratna that she has a bachelor degree in law and in Sharia. And besides being a fluent English and Malay speaker, she's also a polyglot with her additional fluency in Arabic, Urdu, and Bosnian. She's also the proud mother of 3 sons. And our second main speaker of the day is Madam Christine Jasmine Ellis, the Assistant Vice President, who is currently handling and managing claims and risk advisory under the Medifund Medical Indemnity Scheme, also under FinPro Healthcare, Marsh Specialty. She acts as a key contact for medical practitioners notifying of potential claims and issues arising from their practice, with regular liaison with solicitors and insurers. Additionally, she is also a very accomplished practicing lawyer, a former practicing lawyer in a commercial law firm, practicing predominantly in the area of medical legal. She has previously represented medical practitioners at all levels of the court and before the Malaysian Medical Council. In 2018, Christine took a career pause to raise her daughter, and in September 2020, she rejoined the workforce, employing her previous legal knowledge and skills in representing medical practitioners with the claims department under Medifund Medical Indemnity. And past education in history includes a Bachelor of Law from the University of Leeds, a barrister at law at Lincoln's Inn, where she was admitted to the Bar of England and Wales in 2011, and she is also a advocate and solicitor of the High Court of Malaya, and she was admitted to the Malaysian Bar in 2012. So without further ado, I would like to pass this webinar over to our 2 main speakers of the day, Ratna and Christine, if you please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lian, for the kind introduction. I didn't expect you to spill out all my secrets, but thank you. A very warm welcome to all participants on this Friday night. A special thank to Junior Doctors Network, especially Dr. Parmjit, Dr. Sean, Dr. Renu, for agreeing to organize this with Marsh Medifund. And I have, besides Christine, I have my 2 other colleagues on duty this Friday night, Sheila and Yusri. So I will start now. So I will talk first on what is medical indemnity, things you need to watch out for, key coverage, and then Christine will come later, the second part of this evening's webinar with the most important thing, what to do when doctors get in trouble. Yeah, so you don't want to pay attention to my part, it's okay. Pay attention to Christine's part, because that will really save you in times of when you really need a legal advice. Thanks, Sheila. So next. So Medifund started in 2016. And have been working together with the Malaysian Medical Association. So we're very proud of the fact that MMA, the largest doctors association, endorsed our program. So that means a lot, the trust and confidence of MMA that the product Medifund, the name of the product, is good and strong enough to protect doctors when faced with medical negligence claims or regulatory investigation claims. And we have Medifund, and we started to we introduced Medifen Takaful as well for doctors who want to have a Sharia compliant product. And we are the brokers, so we act on behalf of doctors. Yeah, we protect doctors, and whenever there's issues, problems with insurance also, we will be on your side when there's policy coverage issues. And we're not insurance agents. Yeah, insurance agents are on behalf of insurance company. They're not your representative. Yeah, so that's different. In Malaysia, the landscape is you have brokers selling the professional indemnity insurance for doctors, and you also have agents outside who sell it to doctors. So the difference is brokers like us, like Marsh, we act on your behalf. Agents, insurance agent, act for insurance company. Sheila, you too fast, Sheila. After I become kelang kabut. It's okay, Sheila, thanks. That slide now. Yeah. So Marsh comes with very strong niche knowledge on how to protect doctors and hospitals. Yeah, it ranged over 30 years of experience, started off in Hong Kong with the Hong Kong Hospital Authority, basically all the public hospitals and their healthcare practitioners. We are their brokers. And in 2017, the Ministry of Health in Singapore also appointed Marsh to manage the professional indemnity for all government hospitals, including over 9,000 doctors and dentists in Singapore. So that has been since 2017. In Malaysia, as I mentioned, Medifen started in 2016, and we're going strong now, being the largest indemnity provider in Malaysia. So we are the #1 choice of government doctors and full-time private doctors in the private sector, choosing for their protection in their medical services. We are the first to create an online portal, so it's very seamless now. When you renew, it's very easy. You get all your details already. Just need to confirm whether you want to retain the same limit, you want to increase, and update the claims history if you have any, and then proceed to payment. Next, Sheila. So what is Medifen, or what is professional indemnity for doctors? Yeah, so any insurance should be your last defense or the last avenue that you go to. Same goes with how you take care of your car and the way you drive, or how you take care of your property. Yeah, doesn't mean that when there is insurance, you pay insurance for your car, or you pay insurance for your property, for your house, the house that you live in, then you just like, you don't lock the door, you don't care about, any fire hazard, you get in the car, no need, I have insurance, I don't have to put on my seat belt, right? So that's not what insurance for. Insurance, especially when it comes to your professional indemnity, it is the last defense, right? The first one that you must adhere to are the three. Always, when we give advice to doctors, we always remind of these three key advice. Sheila, next. Which is prevent, anticipate, and manage. Yeah, prevent what you're doing right now tonight. Yeah, most people, this is the lepak night, go out and have fun, but you choose to listen to key advice on how to protect your practice. Yeah, and listen from Christine later on some of the cases that doctors face, that doctors get in trouble, and also when insurers have to make payment, and at times it's in millions. So, and you always have to keep updated in your training of your specialty. Yeah, even if you are government doctors and also GP, you still have to keep up with that. Not so much the 1 CPD point or any CPD points that you'll get, like for tonight, you'll get the 1 CPD point. But the most important thing is that you stay connected with your practice and you understand what are the latest training, or you understand what are the latest steps in risk management that you need to understand. and anticipate. And this deals with really crucial ways of how you handle your clinical practice. Yeah, documentation is so important. Later, Christine will share on some cases where doctors get in trouble. Most importantly, informed consent, because that is key. Always, sometimes in defending doctors, informed consent not so good. Yeah, doctors don't really say what he has advised the patient before patient or the family agree for the surgery. And that document, whether it can help you in court or it will work against you, because there's not much the lawyer can work on in terms of informed consent or any other clinical notes and submission in court. Manage. And this is something that we always advise doctors and also our client hospitals. We are also the broker for the big private hospitals in Malaysia, across Asia actually, that when something has gone wrong, patients and family need explanation, right? It is best that you come forward and explain. Coming forward doesn't mean that, yes, I'm guilty, I was sleepy and, something wrong with the surgery, so I'm sorry. There are ways you need to get brokers' advice or the panels listed that insurers appoint you, their advice on how to handle such situation. It's not easy, but we can assist you. So prevent, anticipate, manage. That is how we advise our doctors. Next, Sheila. So just a bit of brief what Medifen is all about. So I'm from Marsh. Marsh is the name of the company. Medifen is the name of the product for doctors' indemnity, Medifen conventional or Medifen takaful. So we offer for full-time government doctors, for government doctors doing locum. Must understand, government doctors doing locum, it is compulsory for you to have your own personal professional indemnity coverage. Yeah, you cannot rely on government. Government will not protect you when you do locum work in private practice, or you cannot rely on the private hospital that you're doing the locum work at, or the private clinic, or rely on the policy holder. That means the doctor that hire you for the locum work. Cannot. You be in breach of Ministry of Health guide and a requirement for government doctors doing locum work. So we also have semi-retired, part-time and non-clinical cover, and of course the full-time private practitioners and also dentists. Next. So for government doctors, regardless of specialty, starts at 380 ringgit for 250,000 limit and 600 ringgit for 1 million limit. And for government doctors doing locum in private setting, it depends on what you do. So if you are in emergency department, accident emergency, then you have to buy under, if I'm not mistaken, it's under medium risk for Medifen. Yeah. Next. Now, how much is enough? Right? And this is something I and Christine struggle daily when we advise doctors, because no matter how much we advise doctors, you are in high risk. You cannot buy 1 million. It will not be enough for you, right? But if I end up buying 1 million, tak apa. Yeah, I never had any claim, so it won't happen to me. It probably will never ever happen to you, but it might happen also. So why take the chance? Yeah, instead of you having to pay your own, if liability is on you and or the clinic or the hospital, and on you it's 1 million, 2 million, how are you going to pay without any insurance cover? If it's not enough, you are underinsured, or you buy the cheap category, but actually you are supposed to buy the higher risk category. Yeah, not the correct category pun, because not save money. So please, if you are in doubt, you're not sure which category you fall in, call us, we will advise you. So we know now that a CP case already reached almost 9 million ringgit, spinal case at 6 million, and Nestatis, which is under medium risk, also reach up to 4 million ringgit. And all this award keep on rising because even the expert doctors in court also said that, let's say this patient can live for the next 50 years. Therefore, the future damages would come up to 3, 4, 5 million sometimes. Next. So statute of limitations, so need to pay attention. I mentioned earlier about documentation must be good, yeah, because you will never ever remember what advice you gave to the patient 6 years ago, right? Sometimes I gave advice to a client, to a doctor client also a month ago. I may not forget, I may not remember unless I look at my email confirmation or my notes that I spoke to this doctor and I have given certain advice, yeah? So I can rely on my documentation. What more when you deal with people's lives, and the statute of limitation is quite long, especially if you deal with a minor, because a minor, their limitation period will only start after they reach the age of majority, which is 18 years old. So pay attention to that and make sure you save or have proper documentation in the clinic or in the hospital, so that if at all, and sometimes that's how it is. Ask Christine, there's no letter of demand, there's no letter of complaint from patient. 6 years down the line, just on the 11th hour before limitation sets in, doctor and hospital are sued. Yeah. So you will rely on the medical records, the medical reports, all the documentations are so important for the defense. For MMC, there is no limitation period, also for criminal charges. And so for this instant, especially for locum, yeah, where you are not covered, maybe you can change to the next slide, Sheila. Thanks. Yeah. So for government doctors who do locum work, yeah, doctors, thank you. But if you can put your question in the Q&A box instead of the chat box, that will be a bit easier for us later on to address your questions. Thanks. So for government doctors, like I mentioned earlier, when you do locum work, government will no longer protect you, will no longer indemnify you. So you must, and it is a requirement that when you do locum work, you must have your own personal professional indemnity. Yeah. So please don't do locum work without cover. And doctors who hire locum also take the extra step to ensure that you only hire locum who can prove that they have Medifend, yeah, in short, or any personal, yeah, their own professional indemnity, yeah, because you don't want to be paying, to be sharing your own limit of liability if the plaintiff solicitor decide to chase after you because the locum has no cover. Next. So this is the part where even if you are not with Medifend, that's okay, but please make sure that you have all this check with the policy that you have renewed your 2025, apa yang you are covered for, because that is important. It's not so much of how much premium you can save by not buying Medifend, but I believe that in our price is very competitive. In fact, for GPs, for government doctors, and also for certain specialty, ours is the best in terms of pricing. And we have the strength of the coverage. So please, if you're not with Medifend, check with your agents if you bought from an agent, or check with your brokers if you have other brokers besides Marsh. Check that you have all this key coverage. Next. So Medifend and also all other professional indemnity insurance for doctors in Malaysia are claims made. Yeah. No insurance company offer occurrence-based. Occurrence-based is only in Malaysia, at least it's only offered by the Medical Protection Society. So whatever coverage that I'm going to explain tonight, it deals with claims-made policy. Yeah? Because occurrence-based, they don't have a policy black and white to tell you what you're covered for. Basically, they if you sign up for a member, they promise discretionary coverage, right, to be decided by the council, what they will cover you, but there's no black and white contract. Whereas claims made policy, like Medifan and all other insurance that you have in Malaysia, we are claims made, and we have a black and white policy, what insurers promise to cover you, your duty to cooperate, for example, and what are the exclusions. It's black and white, it's very clear in the contract to you and the insurance company. So for instance, like this, because we are claims made policy, the protection will work, will be for you if you have an active policy with Medifan. If you do not have an active policy, that means you only covered with us until 2024, 2025, you feel that you want to relax a bit, you don't want to renew, and then there is a claim coming in 2025, you have no protection. Even if the claim comes in 2020, the treatment was in 2022, and then you say, but in 2022, I had 2 million policy, why you cannot cover me? But it's your 2025 if the claim comes in 2025. So look at this example. 2020, the doctor was not a Medifan client. Doctor only applied Medifan starting from 2022. Yeah. Unfortunately, in this example, the doctor got sued in the first year the doctor was with Medifan, right? 2020 policy was with another insurance company. An incident that resulted in the claim in 2022, doctor notified Medifan, Medifan covers. It doesn't go back to who was your insurance in 2020. Even when you are first with Medifan only in 2022, we cover, because coverage depends on whether you have policy with us and your awareness. 2020, after you treated the patient, you didn't know anything, tak ada complaint, tak ada apa, no problem. You forgot about the patient. Suddenly, 2022, you are sued in court, for the treatment rendered 2 years prior. We will cover you, and the limit that will protect you is the limit of 2022. No matter when it's settled, when it's being paid out, it follows the limit 2022. So your 2024 policy, the limit stays intact in the event there is a new notification for 2024. So that is how claims made policy work. Next. Another important factor, Medifan is very, very good, very strong. Why? Because we offer defense costs in addition. So insurers do not touch the limit that you purchase. The limit that you purchase, 1 juta ke, 30 juta ke, we have up to 30 million. That is solely to pay for the claim. Defense costs, in addition to paying for the claim, Medifan insurer will pay for the defense cost separately. So if you buy 1 million, if the claim is 1 million, Medifan insurer will pay 1 million. But outside from Medifan, please check your policy. If dia cakap your loss included your defense, that means your defense cost is inclusive in the limit that you buy. So meaning if you buy 1 million, it's not 1 million total. Kalau claim the liability is 1 million. Insurers first will deduct, kalau the cost of the lawyer defending you in court was 200,000 ringgit, insurers will pay 200,000 from the limit that you buy. And you are only left with 800,000 that insurers will pay. So you have to pay from your own pocket 200,000. So defense cost in addition, very, very good. Defense cost inclusive of limit you buy, problematic, risky. If the amount of the claim is much, much lower, then of course, no issue, but still, they will still deduct the defense cost from the limit that you buy. So your balance limit will be much, much lower. Next. Another important factor now, doctors and hospitals now really are nervous about aggravated damages. Later, Christine will explain. Aggravated damages, it's not the direct medical negligence, but the conduct of the hospital, of the doctors, the contributing factors to make the situation worse on the part of the plaintiff, perasaan tergores, perasaan malu, all that will take into court, the judge will take into all that if the plaintiff put that in their statement of claim, whether the judge agrees or not. And we've had 2 cases now where aggravated damages is 1 million. So for Medifan, it just follows whatever limit that you buy. Yeah, there's no sublimit. Yeah, that means we don't sublimit aggravated damages. If you have 5 million, aggravated damages is 1 million. We pay the whole aggravated damages and the whole damages. But other insurance company, check again with your other brokers that are not Marsh or your agents. If the aggravated damages is sublimited or some policy exclude totally. So imagine if you are left out in the cold, you have to pay that part of damages on your own. Next. Another good coverage that you must think of is your future. Yeah, nobody wants to work for the rest of their lives. Yeah, at one point, I also want to retire, want to rest after you work so hard, definitely as a doctor. So in Medifan, syarat dia hanya bersama dengan Medifan for minimum 5 years consecutive cover. That means no gap, yeah. Not 2019 dengan Medifan, 2020 dengan orang lain, and then 2022 datang balik. We have doctors who like to jump. So that is a bit risky in terms of your run-off cover. Run-off cover, that means when you have stopped practicing, you have stopped buying premium from the date that you retire, permanently cease practice, yeah, you are still protected. Yeah, and we always advise if you already merancang that you are going to retire permanently in 2030, 2029 will be your last policy with Medifan. Please buy 2029 policy, the highest that you can afford. Best if you have 30 million coverage. So that 30 million is the one that will protect you forever and ever. Total disability or death during policy period, no condition of how many years, yeah, it's automatic. Next. So this is an example, like I mentioned earlier, doctor who jump around or doctors who was not aware that the hospital actually changed masa ni JLT lah. JLT now is known as Marsh. So this doctor wasn't aware that at 1 year, so dia dah ada gap dalam policy. Yeah, she thought that she got the free run-off cover. Unfortunately, masa first year retirement, she was sued. And when she wanted to notify, we checked the record and there is a gap there. So she did not qualify for that free run-off cover. And she has to cover the claim herself, yeah, from her own pocket. And so that you have the option, if you don't meet that requirement, 5 years minimum, yeah, you have the option to buy extended notification period one-off. Then whether you want to cover for 3, 5, 7 years or unlimited. Next. Regulatory investigation claims, as I mentioned earlier, we give you lawyer and insurers pay the lawyer's fees. Yeah, lawyer's fees for MMC hearing aja can go up to between 30 to 50,000 depending how complicated the matter is. Yeah, and if you don't have a lawyer, then you end up paying the lawyer's fees. If you don't have Medifan, then you end up paying. And this one, I just want to word a caution. Some insurance, I was told, especially kalau you have takaful product that is not under Medifan, right? The way they identify claim is a bit different. So for this, when they have to answer to MNC, when there is a complaint against them, the takaful agent said that insurers, it's up to you how you want to answer. They won't check. Yeah. So it's not like that with us. Christine will explain later. Next. Notice of contribution indemnity claims. If you are an independent contractor, this is more on private hospitals, and you have an indemnity clause to say that I agree if the medical negligence claim arises from my work, then I agree to indemnify the hospital. If that is the case and the hospital applied a notice of contribution indemnity claim against that independent contractor in court, then Medifan will cover for that portion as well. Next. Goods Matter and Acts, training and volunteer work. This is an extension of the Medifund policy, and it is worldwide except for embargoed countries. And for training and volunteer work, cannot exceed more than 60 days in one policy year. So if you're constantly doing like Doctors Without Borders, or you're part of Mercy Malaysia, then they would have their own separate professional indemnity coverage. Next. Public relation and counseling costs, very important to have. This is sub-limited, yeah, for counseling costs and public relations up to 50,000. The cost to pay for the crisis management expert, yeah, but you have to notify insurer and let insurers take conduct of the matter, who they want to appoint, yeah. You cannot handle yourself and then ask Paul Christine and say, please pay, I incur 30,000 ringgit. No, cannot. Yeah, if insurers want to pay, then they need to take conduct of the matter. Next. This is just a word of advice on how to apply, but Yusri later will give you the proper link and our number if you want to contact. I think this is my part. Now I pass to my colleague, Christine. And Christine, don't scare doctors too much, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ratna. Thank you all the doctors for joining today. I'll go right into it, but just by way of a reminder, if you have any questions, just put that into the Q&A section. You will find that at the bottom of your screen. So I'm going to go right into the slides. What do? I lead the claims team under the Medifund. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of things relating back to what Ratna spoke about earlier, but more on the legal side of things, and also really how to make your indemnity work for you. So when should you be notifying us, Marsh, when you actually have a claim? The general rule of thumb, as soon as possible. So don't wait. If you have a complaint, dissatisfaction against you, if there's a claim against you, let us know as soon as possible. Now, I know that a lot of doctors are very afraid to actually inform their indemnifiers about potential complaints as well as claims, because you are worried that this is going to affect your future renewal and your future premiums with your respective professional indemnifiers. So I want to give you that reassurance on the Medifund side that no matter how many notifications that you have, that means no matter how many times that you call us, that is not going to affect your future potential renewal with Medifund. That's the first thing. The second thing is, just by the act of letting us know that there is a problem, that is not going to incur you an increase in your premium, basically what we call a loading onto your premium. So I just wanted to give you that reassurance. And who will be managing your claims? Well, basically myself as well as my team, and we are all former practicing lawyers, and we are all legally trained. So this is one of the unique things that we have at Marsh Medifund, which is that you will be able to actually obtain that immediate legal advice. And when if the matter has already escalated to a complaint to the Malaysian Medical Council, or if it's already a legal suit in court, then we have our experienced medical legal panel of solicitors, and they have up to 20 to 30 years of experience in medical legal matters. But, next slide, please. So when you should notify, if you recall, what I said was as soon as possible. So I'm just going to go through a couple of case studies. Now, these are all case studies that have actually already happened on the Medifund scheme, and these are kind of good, bad practices by some of the doctors that you should avoid. So in this particular case, the doctor had actually received the writ. So if you have been sued, that means the patient has taken a claim against you, you would receive likely two documents, which is a writ and a statement of claim. The writ will list you as a defendant, and that's how you know that you have been sued in civil court. And that's usually accompanied by a statement of claim. The statement of claim actually lists out the allegations against you. Now, you're going to hear me repeat this over and over again throughout my session, which is that if you receive something from a lawyer and a legal document and you don't know what it is, or you can't figure out what it is, what you should absolutely be doing is contacting your professional indemnifier. Because a lot of the times when the doctors have finally called me, they have said, oh, I've spoken to this colleague, I've spoken to that colleague, I've spoken to my friend, and it's only after all of that they're actually calling us. And we should really be your first point in call. So when you receive a legal document, your first point of call should always be your professional indemnifiers. So if you see the case study here, the doctor had actually received the writ, but the doctor didn't do anything about it. So what then happened is when you receive a writ, you have 14 days to put in an appearance in court. If you fail to do so, the other side can actually take a judgment in default against you. So in this case, this was exactly what happened. And what the doctor did was actually only inform us, the brokers, about the matter when that judgment in default had already been entered into. So at that point in time, the insurers took the position that they will provide the coverage, but it was going to be contingent on whether the judgment in default could actually be set aside. Because if the judgment in default could not have been set aside, then the insurer's position is prejudice. And so it will be difficult for the insurers to actually defend the matter. So again, if you have been sued or you think you have been sued, call us. Let your indemnifiers know about it as soon as possible. In fact, I recommend actually no later than 24 hours. Next slide, please. When again must you notify? When there has been a complaint lodged against you to the Malaysian Medical Council or the Malaysian Dental Council. Now, how will you know? You would have received a notice from the Malaysian Medical Council. This is like a letter, basically saying that so-and-so has made a complaint against you, and it will tell you that you have 30 days to provide your written explanation, right? So a complaint to the Malaysian Medical Council is a very serious matter because the Malaysian Medical Council is your regulatory body. So they are actually looking into the conduct of the doctor. So they do not look at negligence, they look at ethical issues. So they are actually regulating the conduct of the doctor. So this is not an investigation, but actually an inquiry. So it's something that should be taken very, very seriously. So when should you let your indemnifiers know? As soon as you receive that letter. So like Ratna had said earlier, you receive that letter, and then in that letter, it will say you need to respond within 30 days within your written explanation. So if you're under Marsh Medifend, if you let us know at that point in time, we will actually appoint a panel solicitor on your behalf to actually help you go through the process of preparing your written explanation. Because a lot of time we find that when the written explanation is actually very thoroughly prepared, it doesn't then escalate into a formal inquiry. So if you see here in this case study, the doctor received the notice of complaint to the MMC, and the doctor actually responded with substantial admissions. So unsurprisingly, this matter actually escalated, and in the end, the Malaysian Medical Council actually found the doctor guilty and punished the doctor with a reprimand. In fact, in this case, the doctor had actually responded to the Malaysian Medical Council within 24 hours. So that's the last thing that you want to do. You want to make sure that you actually properly, thoroughly answer the allegations in the complaint. Sometimes it may be something as simple as, there are 5 complaints there, but what you do is you actually end up only answering 3 of those complaints. So you sort of leave the medical council in no choice but having to escalate the matter because those 2 complaints have been left unanswered. So that's why it's so important that you actually let us know early so we can get the lawyer to make sure that everything is answered. You will have the supporting documents as well. We want to go through all that process to make sure that you are best protected. And also just to remind you again, if you are on the government sector, a complaint to the Malaysian Medical Council is something that is not covered by the government. So it's something, if you have private indemnity, if you have indemnity with Medifend, this is something that is covered under Medifend, even if you're in the government sector. Next slide, please. So it is very important when you receive a complaint or some kind of dissatisfaction from the patient that it's very important to take conduct. So Nowadays, complaints can come from all areas. Really, it can be a written complaint, it can be a verbal complaint. Sometimes the patient raises a dissatisfaction during a consultation. We know a lot of doctors use social media. The complaint may come in from the social media. So what is really important is to take conduct and to actually respond to the complaint. So at this point in 2021, the patient had actually lodged a complaint and requested for compensation. In 2021, the patient was actually prepared to accept a discount just to resolve the matter. Unfortunately, in this case, the patient didn't receive any response, whether from the doctor or from the hospital. And it's because of this inaction on the complaint in itself that resulted in the patient actually engaging solicitors, and then a formal letter of demand actually gets issued by the lawyers. And at that point in time, they are demanding for 1 million. So it's so important to make sure that you take conduct when there's dissatisfaction from the patient. If you have received a complaint, always respond to it. It can be something as simple as, I've taken note of your complaint, I'm investigating the matter, and I will get back to you. Something even as simple as that, to just let the patient know that their complaint is actually being investigated. So again, you don't have to accede to a patient's demand. You just have to let them know that you are actually taking conduct of the claim and you are actually investigating it. Next slide, please. So this is one of the sort of common declinatures by the insurer. So this is something else that we'd like to highlight to you as well. And also that I'm going to touch a little bit on what Ratna spoke about earlier. So in this case, the patient issues a complaint. Now, steps are taken by the doctor to resolve, steps are taken by the hospital to resolve, but there's no attempt made to actually let the indemnifiers know about the matter. So unfortunately, the matter then escalates. So either the complaint escalates prior to any kind of inception of policy, or either it escalates at the point where there's a gap between the Medifund policy. So I'll deal with that separately. Now, you will hear Ratna say earlier that the Medifund policy protects you and it has full retroactive cover. Now, that is true, but that is contingent on the fact that you did not have any awareness of a potential claim prior to the first inception of your Medifund policy. So the Medifund policy is not going to protect you if you are already aware of a complaint before the policy actually incepted. So the rule of thumb here is that if you already have you have professional indemnifiers and you already know of a matter where you have a complaint or a dissatisfaction, and you are thinking about switching your indemnifiers, you need to let your current indemnifier know about the matter. Because once you switch to another indemnifier, that's not going to be covered by your new indemnifier. The other thing you want to be aware of is to make sure that you do not have any kind of gap in your Medifund policy. I think earlier Ratna had shared with you that case study, what happened when the doctor, on the free runoff, where the doctor actually had a gap in the policy. The same thing works with claims. You know, sometimes the doctors will say, okay, so I'm going off on holiday for the first 2 months of the year, you know, so I'll just come back in March and then I'll renew my policy then. But then there's a 2-month gap where you have no indemnity at all. And then if a claim comes in during that period or a complaint comes in during that period, then you're not going to have any coverage under your policy. So you want to make sure there's not even a single day gap in between your policy. Next slide, please. So those are the general cases where you must notify your professional indemnifiers, but it's really not an exhaustive list. What I always tell doctors is, if in doubt, call us. Not sure, give us a call, because we're the best people to tell you and the best people to tell you what to do to best protect your position. So usually when there has been a request for medical report or written explanation, usually these are coming for lawyers. This is something you would probably want to let your professional indemnifiers know. When there has been an unexpected event, an incident, an unexpected death, these are the kind of things that you should be letting your indemnifiers know about. Next slide, please. So how does it work in Medifen? I spoke a little bit about it. So we are your first point of call, myself as well as my team. Right, so we sit on Marsh Medifen. Like Ratna said, we are the brokers. So we advocate for you, the doctors. So you can let us know if you are aware of any kind of complaint, dissatisfaction, a claim. You let us know about it. And what we are able to do is to provide you that immediate legal advice. Then what we will do is we will assess your notification, and then we will determine, is this a matter that should be resolved earlier? Is this a matter should be escalated out? Should we get a panel solicitor on board? We will do that assessment at the Marsh Medifen side. And then, like I said, we will have our panel solicitors. This is when the matter has already escalated to court. It's already a writ. It's already a complaint to the Malaysian Medical Council. Then we will officially get you panel solicitors on board to represent you either in court or to represent you before the Malaysian Medical Council. What are the role of the insurers? The insurers are to assess the file strategy as well as to make payments as and when those payments become warranted and if they become warranted. So what I want to highlight here on the Marsh Medifen side is that we don't allow one party to sort of control the claims. So we don't allow our panel solicitors just to have free rein on the claims. So even with our claims going on in court or even claims outside of court, we take a very proactive approach. We determine very early on whether cases should be resolved or without actually being escalated. So both the brokers as well as the insurers are always watching the claims very, very closely. Next slide, please. So, Ratna always tells you all the wonderful things under the policy, and unfortunately, I have to tell you how it's not so wonderful. So the thing that I had mentioned earlier was that you're not going to be covered for something that you already know about. Yeah, so again, if you already know of a complaint, a dissatisfaction, you want to switch indemnifiers, then make sure you let your current indemnifiers know. If you're already aware of a claim, a potential claim, a complaint, you don't have any professional indemnifiers currently, then that is not something that is going to be covered if you then decide to actually apply for indemnity. So that's something to sort of bear in mind. And it's also why it's so important for you to make sure that you have that professional indemnity. So you don't actually wait till that, like Ratna was saying, something has already happened and then you're quickly scrambling to get your professional indemnity. You want to make sure you have your professional indemnity. The Medifen policy is also personal to you. So it does not cover you for if you happen to be a person in charge. If you happen to sit on any committees of a hospital, then it does not actually cover you in those positions. So what you need to do is those should be covered under either clinic indemnity or hospital indemnity, depending on which one you work for. And you just need to go back to the clinic, you need to go back to the hospital and ask them, hi, am I covered under the clinic indemnity or the hospital indemnity? And of course, the Medifen policy does not protect you if you are doing anything outside of what you are allowed to do. So if you are doing procedures you are not allowed to do, you're not privileged and credentialed to perform, if you're prescribing medication that is not registered under the Ministry of Health of Malaysia, then that is something that's not going to be covered under the policy. So you want to make sure, if you are not sure whether you should be doing those certain procedures, then your right point of call will be the Ministry of Health. You need to check with the Ministry of Health that you're allowed to do those procedures. So this was something I talked about. This is where you already are aware of a complaint. So if you see this case study, the doctor was already aware of a complaint in September of 2019, and the start of the Medifen policy was in January 2020. So you see the doctor was already aware of complaint before the first inception of the policy. So when the matter actually escalates later to a letter of demand, it escalates to a writ, it is not something that is going to be covered under the policy. So I hope that case study is clear. Next slide. I think I'm coming towards the end. So I'll talk a little bit about current trends. So a couple of things you need to be careful about. Ratna spoke about aggravated damages. So like she said, this is basically focused on the conduct of the doctor or the conduct of the hospital. So this goes beyond the negligence. So if you see here, what is it? I've put there the two cases because it explains it the most in its most simplistic form, it's basically compensation to the plaintiff for injuries affecting his feelings that was caused by the defendant's wrongdoing. Additional compensation where there has been intangible injury to the plaintiff, and this injury was made worse by the defendant. So how much have the courts awarded in aggravated damages? Well, the very first case in 2017, they awarded 1 million in aggravated damages alone. So if I can just go to the next slide. So you will see the numbers are all over the place. In 2017, it was 1 million. So now it ranges anywhere between 100,000 all the way up to 1 million. In fact, we just had a 2024 case where once again, the court has actually awarded 1 million for aggravated damages. However, that case is currently on appeal. So what are the type of things that where the court actually awards aggravating damages? Things like suppression of the medical records, tampering with the medical records, things like that. So it's really going to be focused more on the conduct of the doctor. So this is something tying back to what Ratna had said earlier. You want to make sure that aggravated damages is actually covered under your respective policies. You also want to make sure that it is not actually sub-limited under the policies. So like she said, under Marsh Medifen is absolutely covered, aggravated damages covered, and there is no sub-limit. If you are not a Medifen, if you are with another indemnifier, you just need to go back to your indemnifiers and then check with them. Next slide, please. So these court awards are on an upward trend. These are the cases for cerebral palsy babies. So if you are practicing in the obstetrics area, then you should ensure that you have adequate indemnity. Like Ratna said, the latest case is 9.5 million. So you can see that majority of that damages is coming from future general damages, which basically is things like future medical bills, future cost of care, things like that. So you want to make sure that you are adequately indemnified. And this is on obstetrics but what I always want to caution doctors, so I want to also deal with the next case. If you are practicing in an area, sorry, if you can change the slides, please, Sheila. Thank you. So if you are practicing in an area of medicine that can potentially cause a disability, a permanent disability to a patient, you want to make sure that you are adequately indemnified. So if you see, this was actually involving an adult patient, and if you can see here, the future general damages that was awarded, future general damages in itself was already 5.6 million. So this case went all the way up to the federal court, but unfortunately, the patient had actually passed away before the federal court hearing. But these are the kind of potential damages that you are looking at. So if you are a doctor practicing in an area of medicine that can cause a permanent disability, you want to ensure that you are adequately indemnified, because these are the kind of damages that we are looking at currently. And that is my last slide. So I'll call Ratna back and then we can start the Q&A. Thank you so much. If you still have more questions, just please add that to our Q&A session.
Hi, everybody. Just before we move on to the Q&A, I would like to call upon one of our main advocates and also a junior doctor himself, Dr. Sean Kam, who is the vice chair of MMA's Comos. So he's going to give his closing remarks, and after that, I would hand over the platform to Christine and Ratna to proceed with the Q&A. All right, Dr. Sean, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Lian, for this. I actually thought my closing remarks would be at the end of everything. But nevertheless, still thank you very much. Thank you, Ratna. Thank you, Christine, for your very illuminating sharing. So one thing to comment, I'm not a GP, so I just happen to be doing public health right now. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the reasons why government doctors. So I'm from SCOMOS, right? So SCOMOS section consisting medical house officers, medical officers, and specialists. We'll be dealing mostly with the government sector. And sometimes we also wonder lah, right? Because KKM is really paying for our what do you call it, our own insurance indemnity already. So why do doctors need to actually go for more or personal indemnities? But this has already been covered by Christy and Ratna actually. Just one thing that I would like to highlight is actually your workplace do not cover the work outside of the stuff that you have been licensed to do or credential and privileged to do. So because we have been hearing a lot of cases where there are people who, government doctor by the day but locum at night, and then some things happen when they're outside, and KKM just don't cover lah. And also, of course, some things which happen just outside of the norm, and these are like clear cut guilty, just some things that cannot be defended. So unfortunately, these kind of cases, it would be helpful if you have got a third party actually watching out for you and advising you. We have been hearing that awards has been rising year over year, um, um, because we understand that when you have got lawyers on your side defending you, there are also lawyers on the other side advocating for their own clients. And obviously, the best interest of the lawyers would be to protect your clients. And when some damages happen, definitely there are certain claims that has to be made, because a lot of times the damages that affect a person may be long-term morbidity, and it may affect their ability to actually earn money. So thank you once again, Ratna and Christy, for taking your time and explaining to us about the need for medical indemnity. And then hopefully you guys can have a better understanding of the situation, and perhaps contact MedDefend and Marsh later to get more information. All right. So I'll pass the time back to Leanne and also Christian Ratna. Please carry on. I'll be listening on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sean. So right now we are officially opening the Q&A, and for this I would like to again call upon Ratna and Christy to handle the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Lian. Thank you, Dr. Sean.
Thank you. So, Ratna, I think you mentioned about statute of limitations. So there's a question, basically, what are statute of limitations? You want me to take the question?
You can.
Okay, so the statute of limitation is the time in which a patient has to actually take a legal claim against you. So, for example, like what Ratna had put out on her slide, if you are in the government sector, so the patient was treated and managed in the government sector, if this is an adult patient, then the adult patient needs to take a claim against you within 3 years. If it's in the private sector, then it's within 6 years. That is 6 years or 3 years from the date of the treatment itself. So I hope that is clear on what statute of limitations are. So there are different statutes of limitations for different types of patients and different types of situations. So the one that Ratna had put out on a slide is the most general one. Okay, so can you explain more on statute of limitations, which I just did? Okay, if the child is already more than 18 plus 3 years, so 21 years old, the child still sue us. So in general, if the minor has been treated in the government sector, then the minor has up until the age of 18 years plus 3 years to actually take a claim against you. Now, this is if the minor is not considered a disabled person. If the minor is a disabled person, then once you actually go beyond that the disabled person can still take a claim against the doctor. Okay, Ratna, if a patient sues doctor in 2025 for a case in 2022, but I am taking Medifen in 2024, is it covered?
So it's a claims made policy. Where did the question disappear? All right. It's a claims-made policy. So if the patient sue the doctor in 2025, it's your 2025 policy that will cover you. But if you are only with Medifen 2024, 2025, like I gave that example, suddenly you are not with Medifen, then you should notify with your provider for 2025. Yeah, provided it's a claims-made policy. But if you change to an occurrence-based, then problem, because the 2024 policy cannot cover for something in future. That means the claim, the patient was sued in 2025, and the occurrence-based policy doesn't cover that. And then you cannot go back to Medifen and said that I have 2024 policy with you, because that claim did not happen in 2024. It happened in 2025. So you must make sure that you have an active policy with Medifen in 2025 for us to give coverage, for insurers to cover you for that claim. Yeah, so it works like that with whether it's with Medifen or any other claims-made policy. It's the year the claim is made, that's the policy that will respond or will protect you.
What happens if a doctor who works in the government but has now joined private is suddenly sued for the case when she was in the government, even though now she is practicing in the private sector? So even if you have come out of the government sector, you can still be sued for the treatment and management you rendered in the government side. If there is a legal suit against you, then that is likely to be covered under the Ministry of Health. So it's more than likely the Attorney General Chambers will be the one who will represent you. This is in general.
And you see it happening, right? We receive notifications like this. So there was another case also, if I may just add to this scenario. The doctor notified Medifen when he was a government servant, full government servant, of a matter which was handled by the Jabatan Peguam Negara. But after he moved to full-time private, then suddenly he got an MMC complaint pertaining to that same claim. Yeah, but he has moved the patient, then the plaintiff then complained to MMC for that same matter. So Medifen protects him, even though it was a government matter. And as what I and Christine mentioned earlier, if it's MMC, if it's a regulatory claims, MMC or MOH, then Jabatan Peguam Negara is not going to defend you. So you will rely on Medifen for the legal representation.
For the private pediatrician case example that you gave, who to contact if they got a complaint on Facebook?
Contact Medifen. So the case, I'm sorry, I was rushing because I was mindful of the time. After Christine scolded me, I always eat up her time. So that doctor actually informed Medifen of that posting. It was harmful to the doctor's reputation and the clinic, because the posting was like, don't go to the doctor's clinic because your baby will die. Yeah, so it's harmful to reputation. When you have posting like that, you contact us. If you're with Medifen, of course.
How much coverage? So we talked about adequate indemnity. So how much coverage should we have for locum work versus full-time private practice?
It should follow the risk category, notwithstanding whether you are locum or you're full-time private. Yeah, so the risk for an ONG, whether you are just a locum, doing locum work in a private hospital as an ONG, or you are a full-time private ONG, the risk is still the same. Yeah, when there is a claim, when you are being sued, the amount of damages or court award will not, the judge will not look, oh, because you are locum, then I will give lower liability for you, a lower damages, lower award for the patient, for the plaintiff. Yeah, it doesn't follow whether you're a locum, you're a part-time, or you're full-time private practitioner. It must follow your risk category. If you're a medium risk, try and buy 5 million at least. Yeah, if you are high risk, don't even think about 5 million. Buy 10, 20, 30. Yeah, I hope that's clear.
Clear, Ratna. But doctors, if anything is unclear, then you can just put it once again back into the Q&A, then we can answer the question again. Regarding the complaint from a patient, do you mean that the doctor needs to let the patient know he or she or the doctor in charge will investigate? Who will investigate? So this really comes down to your setup, where you are working. And how does the complaint come in? Does the complaint come in directly to you? Does the complaint come into the clinic, come into the hospital? The patient needs to know that the complaint has actually been received and is going to be taken seriously. So if the complaint has been sent directly to you, then you need to respond to the patient to say, I've received your complaint and I'm sort of looking into it. So whose role is it to investigate? Well, under the private healthcare regulations, hospitals and clinics have a duty under the law to actually initiate a grievance mechanism to actually ensure that a complaint is actually properly investigated and responded to. So it is usually the clinics or the hospitals who will do so. But if that complaint actually comes through the doctor, then it is something you should at least say, okay, I've received this, and we are going to investigate. Then you let your professional indemnifiers know about it. And then after that, you can let us take over the matter. But what is very important is when you receive that complaint, don't leave it unanswered. Or make sure you don't be in a situation where you don't do anything about it. If you receive the complaint, then you should also be letting your clinic know about it, your clinic management know about it, as well as the hospital management know about it. I hope that's clear. What if while doing locum, patient was unhappy, but the locum doctor managed to calm the patient? Does he or she need to notify Medifen? So this is a little bit of a difficult one to answer. You as the doctor will sort of have a sense as to whether the matter is going to escalate. So is the unhappiness medico-legal related? Is it just a small matter? Is it that patient was upset because you didn't say good morning? Or was it an incident had actually occurred? Was the wrong medication prescribed? Did an incident actually occur at the clinic itself? Because that is the kind of thing that you actually want to let your indemnifiers know. If there's any kind of is this dissatisfaction related to negligence? Is the patient using words like you're negligent, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to get lawyers, things like that. So even if you manage to calm the patient down, that's something you definitely want to let your indemnifiers know about it. And again, like I said earlier, if you have any kind of doubts, then you should just let your professional indemnifier know about it. And then once we hear about it, we'll be able to actually tell you whether it's something we should officially notify or otherwise. Okay, Ratna, if the clinic practiced is not listed under the APC for locums while practicing at government setting, does the indemnity cover?
Yes, the short answer is yes. Yeah, because indemnity insurance company are not regulators, so they don't request did you put this clinic. In fact, in the proposal form also, it's very limited. Sometimes some doctors just put the primary and secondary, even though he has third and fourth place of practice. And your Medifen cover is personal to you, like what Christine mentioned also. So it follows you, if you practice in 10 locum clinics, that means you're not a regular clinic A and clinic B only. You only go, you only do locum as and when you are requested to cover the clinics, let's say in KL or Selangor. So in your proposal form, it's not listed if you're in 20 locum clinics, yeah. But you may have problem with your regulators, yeah, because MMC does put it as part of their guideline or the regulation that you must list down all the locum clinics. So you might be in breach of from the regulator's guideline or requirement. So that's the problem. And if it goes to MMC, complain that you did not list in APC, then there's no insurance cover for it. And usually insurance will deny or will not even allow to appoint a panel solicitor for you because you are in breach of the regulation in Malaysia. So they are not, insurance company are not regulators, but if you get in trouble, then insurers may decide within the policy coverage that they will not provide you with a lawyer. I hope that's clear.
If a pediatrician is sued at private for 2 million, I assume there's a court award for 2 million, but the Medifund coverage is 1 million only. Will the doctor need to pay another 1 million by himself? Yes. The short answer is yes, because your indemnity policy will only pay up to the limit of your indemnity. So if you take an indemnity for 1 million and it's a court award for 2 million, then you're going to have to pay that additional 1 million out of pocket. So which is why we keep stressing that it is so important to ensure that you have adequate indemnity, because we have already had doctors in the scheme who actually did not have adequate indemnity and they had to actually pay out of pocket. Are there different policies, Ratna, for private versus government who do locum? For example, is there lower premiums and lesser coverage?
Lower premium, yes, for part-time doctors or locum premium, but it's not lower coverage. The coverage is still the same. It's the same Medifund certificate of insurance or certificate of takaful that you will receive. Yeah, the strength of the coverage is the same, but because you're only doing part-time private or as locum, then yes, there is a slight lower premium than as compared to a doctor who does full-time private.
Ratna, the next question is for you as well. I would like to ask, so in a setting where it's freelance doctors doing locum in multiple clinics, private clinics, with a focus on different niches. Okay, number one, is it advisable to do ultrasound scan on pregnant ladies if your indemnity does not cover O&G? Or should I just take indemnity which covers O&G cases as well?
All right, let's tackle this first. Don't click anything else so that I can see the question. We have GP with obstetrics, yeah? So you may want to take that coverage, but from our engagement with MMA, a normal GP cover does allow a GP to do the routine ultrasound scan for pregnant ladies. Yeah, but we need to understand how in-depth is your ultrasound scan. If it's that the normal checkup, then I have been told by MMA that even GP can do that. Should I just take indemnity which cover O&G cases as well? If you are not an O&G, especially if you are not registered under the NSR, then you shouldn't be doing that procedure in the first place. Yeah. I'm talking about O&G procedures or managing birth and delivery. But if it's just following the first line of the question, just ultrasound scan, then you don't have to buy an O&G cover for that. You buy O&G cover because you are doing obstetric work and you are registered under NSR as an obstetrician.
What is your advice for freelance locum doctors with respect to indemnity cover? Basically, what limit should we take? But I think this question was answered earlier.
Yeah, but I just want to again stress this part. When you are a freelance locum doctor, so you no longer, when you go to our online portal, you don't pick that as a locum doctor because you're doing it full-time. Yeah, so you are still considered as full-time private practitioner because you do the where's the question now?
The answer.
Under the answer, is it? Next time.
What limit should we take?
Yeah. So you, okay, I forgot already. Okay, what is the advice for what? Or what limit should you take? What limit should you take? Again, same. What is the locum? What if you're looking at if you are doing locum as a GP, then you either take from 1 to 3 million. Or if you are in low risk, again, 1 to 3 million. If you are in medium risk as a locum, then take 3 to 5, right? Or if you are in high risk, then please take 5 to 10 if you can. even locum, like I said, the amount of the award will be same. The judge will not say or award lower just because you're a locum.
Okay. So these two similar questions. Government doctor doing locum work. What policy should we take, and what is the monthly commitment?
What policy should you take? Take the Medifund policy, right? And monthly commitment, there's no monthly commitment as in the premium. It's annually because it goes with your application for your APC, and MMC do want to see the period of insurance 1st of January 2025 to 31st December 2025. So you don't take locum work for 2 months or 3 months. Yeah, it's always a yearly commitment. I mean, you pay one-off premium for 12 months coverage. I hope that's clear. There's no specific policy for locum and specific policy certificate of insurance or certificate of takaful for full-time private. Yeah, the Medifund coverage, the key coverage, the strength of the coverage is same for locum and full-time private.
Many junior doctors who left government services for private have successfully set up their own clinic. So how much is the minimum indemnity insurance coverage? And will this package provide coverage in case there's a suit against a doctor who did locum in the junior doctor's clinic?
How much is the minimum indemnity insurance coverage recommended? I would not recommend minimum, but we do have minimum. For GP, it starts at 500K. Premium is 450 ringgit, and it goes up to 1 million for 650 ringgit. Yeah, so that is the minimum for GP, and the rest follows your category. Will this package provide coverage in case there's a suit against the doctor who did locum junior doctor's clinic? It does provide coverage. The minute you have a Medifund cover or policy and you are being sued, whether in a junior doctor's clinic, who did locum, that means is the junior doctor covered, right? The junior doctor, if the junior doctor is the sole prop or the owner of the clinic, or sole proprietor, then yes, Medifund still protect the junior doctor, the owner of the clinic, even though the negligence or the medical negligence claim arises from the locum that works in the junior doctor's clinic. Yeah, the junior doctor's clinic, the junior doctors, if he's a sole proprietor, he is still protected. Medifund will still cover him, yeah, for the work of his locum. But if the junior doctor's clinic is under Sdn Bhd, then you must buy a clinic liability, a separate liability cover to protect you as the clinic owner, because in court cases, usually they will, defendant 1 is the doctor locum, defendant 2 is the junior doctor's clinic. Yeah, usually they will also name the clinic. So if you are a registered clinic Sdn Bhd, so the junior doctor, junior or senior is the same. Yeah, the liability is the same. Then you have to buy a separate clinic liability. For GPs now, for 2025, we have started an extension cover under Medifund by adding a few hundred ringgit. Yeah, you will also be protected. Your clinic will be protected.
Are the full-time private doctors covered by the respective private hospitals, example Sunway or KPJ, if they are sued by a patient? It depends on what your contract for service is with that respective private hospital. So if you are working in one of these private hospitals under Sunway, under KPJ, then that's something that you should be checking directly with the hospitals in terms of coverage. I think we are aware where there are some private hospitals that actually cover for their medical officers in circumstances like that. But again, this is something that you need to go back to your hospitals and check in with them. The second part is, example, if the patient bought 5 million Medifund, if the patient, I suppose if the doctor bought 5 million Medifen, but was sued for 7 million. So is the hospital going to cover you for the balance 2 million? That really depends on how the case is actually decided. If there is an award for damages against you, the doctor, for 7 million, the patient is actually entitled to enforce the 7 million against you. So it really comes down to the factual scenario. But as it stands today, if there's a court award for you for 7 million, then you are 2 million out of pocket. I mean, there is a chance that you are 2 million out of pocket. The position of the private hospital is something that you will need to check with your respective private hospitals. I have a case of a hip fracture in pediatrics, which requires a hip replacement. So I'm the first doctor that sees the patient, but all I did was a knee x-ray, and I'm guessing you reported no fracture. The second visit to the other doctor who did the hip x-ray showed that there was a fracture. I'm afraid the child will sue me, but till now, no complaint yet. So this is what we consider to be an adverse incident. So this is a potential sort of misdiagnosis. So it is something that you should be letting your professional indemnifiers know about. So this is something you should be contacting your professional indemnifiers and actually reporting the matter to your insurers. The premium charges will be yearly base, right? Just to confirm. Right now, that's the next question.
Yes. As I said, you need to show proof that you have professional indemnity to MMC when you want to renew your APC. So they need to see the period of insurance for 12 months. So definitely you are paying for the whole of the 12 months. So it is an annual premium charge. So when I said 380 ringgit for a government, full-time government, it's 380 ringgit for the whole year of 2025. Yeah. Buying Starbucks will cost you more if you buy every other day, or some doctors buy almost every day, right? That will cost you more than the 380 ringgit premium that you pay for the whole of 12 months for 2025. So yes, it is yearly basis.
So I can't quite understand the last question. Maybe doctor, you need to put it in again. Just now, example given, Medifen will cover extra 200,000.
Answer is yes. I remember this because this is the scenario 15, the defense cost in addition. Because
I see.
if the coverage, the non-Medifen coverage, if it's defense cost inclusive, the doctor has to pay the extra. If the doctor buys 1 million and the defense cost is 200,000, yeah. So doctor is short of 200,000 because insurance will pay 200,000 to the lawyer and pay the award 800,000. So short of 200, which will come out from the doctor's pocket. But in Medifen, because our defense cost is inclusive, then yes, Medifen pay the insurer will pay the 200,000 legal cost and the whole 1 million for the claim. Okay, now what
So
is
the
this?
doctor is sorry, what is the 200K coverage again?
The example I gave, that was for the defense cost. That means the legal cost to be paid to the lawyer that defend you in court.
So I hope that's clear, Dr. Ratna is referring to the legal fees. So the legal fees is in addition to your limit of indemnity. That is regardless of whatever the legal fees is. So that was an example. Medifen does not sublimit their legal fees, which is what some of the other indemnities out there they do. So again, you need to go back and then also go and check back with your own indemnifiers. Actually, is the legal fees sublimited? Because if then the bill goes above that sublimit, then it's something that you will also be out of pocket. So you need to check that there is no sublimit under the Medifen policy.
So we have come to the end. Thanks so much,
right.
Christine. Thanks so much. We'll pass it back to our Madam Moderator, Dr. Lian. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for speaking non-stop and then answering all our exhaustive questions. I really appreciate it. And I hope that with that Q&A session, you have further understood and a very in-depth yet concise way of how the medical indemnity insurance works. So I would like to just give a few little reminders for our junior doctors here. Some of us who are just starting out, some of us who are going to enter formally the specialty that we are pursuing. And I'm just going to share a few experiences given to me by my friend, Dr. Loksiman. And also, I would like to share a little bit of the experiences I have as a trainee in the Master of Family Medicine. So it is similar to GP practice, and there's a lot of the things that we see in Master of Family Medicine as a trainee is somewhat similar to GP, maybe a bit less diverse as we are limited to our practice and training. But nevertheless, always remember that in any discipline that you are from, whether or not clinical or non-clinical, whenever you are dealing with somebody, especially somebody who doesn't understand how the medical faculty works, how the system works, make sure that whenever you speak to them, communicate to them, speak clearly, speak honestly, be frank. First of all, know your limitations. Okay, definitely as doctors, we are not, we can't do everything, we can't handle everything, we can't know everything. Just be honest, speak to the patient. Okay, if they request for something, if you're able to accommodate, for example, if they request for a second opinion, don't, scoff it off and just be honest, be welcoming, be clear to them. Don't put yourself in a situation that you don't want to, which is adverse in the future. Second of all, remember that as junior doctors, yes, our health is important, but our service is also to the patients. So remember that, keep them in mind. Remember that, do no harm. That is our promise to the public. And third, whenever you communicate with patients, some of them may or may not understand the circumstances regarding our practice. If you're in a GP setting, no way, it's not possible sometimes to do a procedure that is more surgically inclined. So make sure you communicate that clearly with the patient. And sometimes that little effort, that extra few minutes you take just to say something more would make a whole lot of difference. And finally, make sure that whenever you go, wherever you practice here in private, Malaysia, outside of Malaysia, please make sure that you're protected and with good documentation, with clear and concise communication to the patient, to the relatives, and also being don't hide from especially the people who are insuring you, because they want to help you as much as you wish to help yourself out of their predicament. Consider, please, to get yourself covered and insured. I believe that the fee is quite manageable for most of us. So think and consider all the implications of and the benefits of getting insured by a medical indemnity insurance. And thank you so much once again, Medifan, for giving us the opportunity to discover more about this. I'm sure everybody has been very enlightened. I will not hold all of you any longer. It's already 9:30. So thank you again to the first two people who gave the opening remarks, Dr. Pamjit and Dr. Sean, as well as our speakers, Ratna and Christine. And to all attendees, as you can see in the chat, if you've missed it, there is some information, contact information given in the chat. Please save it, and if you have any more questions after this webinar, feel free to contact our two speakers. With that, I bid all of you a good night and have a great weekend. Thank you.